I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're playing on that? On the recording? Oh, that's great. Woohoo!
Double trouble.
That's good. We are going to be having a concert for his release. We set it for September 16th. And even though it's not on our announcement yet, you can put it in your calendar. Oh, oops, I shouldn't have said it. Never mind. I thought maybe you forgot. You know, that song is, it's really intense. Did you feel it? Yeah. It's really intense. Sometimes life just seems like it's so hard. Or we know people who are going through such hard times. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, sometimes life feels like it is such a big deal. And it doesn't have to be. And in some ways it is a big deal. You know, the things that we achieve as humans, sometimes they are really worth pushing for, worth fighting for. It is a big deal. And other times it's like it doesn't matter at all. Because we are just a blip of spirit and a blip of time, and none of it matters. I found myself falling on both sides of that. Breathe right smack in the middle. Breathe, please, no matter what it is. Whether you're going through a real difficult time or an easy time. I, for one, am one who likes to acknowledge that, yes, we have a spiritual teaching that talks about how wonderful our life can be. But I also like to acknowledge that sometimes it's just challenging. So that we're not doing platitudes about, oh, just say the right affirmation, everything will be fine. Because that doesn't acknowledge the people who are having a real hard time. And so I like to try to balance both. And to me, that song just evokes that feeling of trying to balance, I'm human and I'm divine, and what do I do with it all? It's good. It's good. It kind of broke my heart open, and that's a good thing. So get a grip or lose a grip. So I'm going to ask you to think about today, where do you think you are in this? Do you think you need to get a grip, or do you think you need to lose a grip? As we go through, I think you'll have your own answer, but just kind of set that in your mind. So I'm going to begin with actually the second part, losing a grip. Lose a grip? Okay, first of all, did you know as human beings that our brain is hardwired for the negative? Yes. Doesn't seem fair. Our brains are hardwired to notice negative faster than positive. Wow, so just the thought that we say we need to think more positive, that's a challenge in and of itself. It's not a Pollyanna statement, no, just think more positive. It actually takes quite a bit of work. Anybody tried it? It takes more work than you realize. Because our reptilian brain, which is the part of our brain back here, is designed for fight or flight. It's designed to be aware and protective and, ooh, that dangerous, and right, that old part of us, they call it the reptilian brain. So I'm telling you this so you don't give yourself a hard time if you find that positive thinking is not so easy.
Okay.
Because the negative thinking wants to kick in. It's ancestral. You know, we don't have to run away from saber-toothed tigers anymore, thank goodness, at least not where we live, but we have other kinds of dangers. And that part of our brain wants to keep us safe. And so the tendency toward negativity, the tendency toward fear, the tendency toward that fight or flight is actually in our brain. So get yourself some slack. When I first heard that, I thought, oh man, it's not all my fault. It was like a sense of relief for me to hear that. We find ourselves stuck in fearful things. We find ourselves what I call spinning. You're spinning in a quandary about something. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. That's that spinning feeling where you just feel you don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to feel. You don't know what to think. I'm spinning. And God, that does not feel good. Because we like to have answers. We like to know. We don't like to spin. I sometimes feel it also in myself as being wound too tight. You know, you have those times in your life where you're just wound so tight and you can feel it inside of you, and stuff is going on and turmoil is going on around your life or within your life, and you feel, when you start to notice, wow, I need to breathe, please. You know, I can feel it in my gut, I can feel it in my breath. It's like everything just feels tight, wound too tight and spinning and stuck in fear. Ooh, human beings can't maintain that very long. So breathe, please, is a very good place to begin to lose a grip. This is what I mean by this. I'm not talking about losing a grip like somebody may say, oh, you know, he's losing a grip, meaning like he's losing his marbles. That's not what I mean. I mean releasing, losing a grip, releasing the tension, releasing the fear, releasing the burden, releasing the sense of aloneness, releasing the small ego self that thinks it has to figure it all out. That's where that song comes from. Somebody who was spinning in the quandary and angry and didn't know what to do with it and had to figure it out. Breathe, please. Let's lose our grip. Let's lose our grip on fear so we can enjoy the chocolate. Did you hear that in the story?
Yeah.
This village was all about fear of the unknown. Nobody had even tried chocolate. It just got passed down generation after generation after generation that we shouldn't touch it. Why, over here in this other village, they were enjoying it to the fullest. This village, the first village that Marie talked about, they were stuck in that fear. They were stuck in that grip of don't do it. Anybody relate to that? Maybe not about chocolate, but about something else in your life? It's like, well, maybe if I just look at it differently, I can have it differently. This is what I mean by losing the grip. Losing the grip of the conditions around us. The conditions of the world, the effects of our life, they are just that, they are effects. They are the smallest part of ourselves, but they can sometimes take on gigantic proportions. But they are really, the conditions and effects of our lives are the smallest part of who we are. Gosh, if we can remember that every day, we go a long way towards remembering our grip. The money worries, the relationship worries, the health worries, the stuff that we stress out about are the smallest parts of our lives. But I said I like to acknowledge that we're human. Sometimes they seem like, that big, hairy stuff. What am I going to do with it? So losing a grip is that. Starting to let go. Let's lose a grip. When I start to ask myself to lose a grip, the words surrender and trust come in. I lit our candle for trust. But take the word surrender. It's a word that a lot of humans associate with weakness. And what I'm asking us to envision it as is, imagine, if you will, for a moment, use your power of imagination. Be careful, please. Breathe, please.
Imagination wandering.
So maybe they're gone. Maybe there's something.
Breathe, please, and be careful. Didn't know I was going to be given an actual life example right at the moment. So right now our minds can go to fear about what's going on out there. We can ask ourselves to lose a grip. Breathe, please, and surrender. And that's where I was going. Surrender is not weakness. Surrendering into a power greater than we are. Surrendering into is asking you to use your imagination. Okay? All good. All right. Imagine for a minute that God is a great, big, soft, loving pair of arms right behind me. Can you see it?
Yes.
And surrendering is me just falling. Now, I'm not actually going to hurt myself, but you can use the imagination. I'm going to surrender into those great, big, soft, loving arms of God. That's how I've come to understand the word surrender. It is not giving up. It's surrendering the smaller into the greater. Surrendering the ego stuff, the need in me that needs to spin. Surrendering the reptilian brain that is hardwired for fight or flight. Surrendering into the greater power. Surrender. So that's what I mean by losing the grip. You can check in. Do I need to lose a grip somewhere in my life today? Do I need to surrender into something? Different people do it different ways. So you need to find also your ways that you can do it. Let me give you some examples. So like for me, one of the things I do when I need to just give it up, I need to listen to music. That takes me to new places immediately. And it's not always soft, mellow music. All right, so don't think that you have to just listen to something beautiful and soft, because sometimes that can make it worse. At least for me, maybe not you, I'm just throwing it out there. Sometimes I need to listen to some hard driving rock and roll so I can burn it out.